Hi, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever anybody is tuning in from today. Pete, nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me during this brief but fun, chit chat on document automation. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite, Bethany. Great to see you again.
Great to see you too. Okay, I'm gonna let some people trickle in a little bit, give some folks some time to join our live. If anybody wants to just kind of drop in the chat where they're tuning in from, maybe what they're watching on Netflix, any kind of favorite shows they're watching. I always love asking that question and seeing what kind of heated debates we could get into on favorite shows and all sorts of things. So it's always a good one. Okay, we'll give people a couple more minutes. Let's see. I'm gonna also throw
Morning,
in
Dean.
Yeah, good morning, Dean. I'm also gonna go, since it's just me and Pete chit-chatting today, it's gonna be difficult for us to share like a slide deck or anything super formal. We're going to keep it super casual, but I am going to drop in some links of resources that Pete and I are going to cover today that will be really great for everybody to check out as we're kind of talking. Yeah, of course, if there's any kind of questions or if anybody needs any help, I'm going to do the best I can to multitask and monitor the chat, but also kind of talk about our subject today. I think since we're 2 minutes past, I want to get into it, right, Pete? I think we have a 30-ish minutes to kind of cover our subject today. So what we're going to discuss is, to keep it super simple, document automation and marketing and sales and marketing. For those who don't know who I am Bethany Fagan. I am our head of content marketing at PandaDoc. I've been with the company, I celebrated my 7th anniversary this year, which is really, really great. I'm super happy and excited to be here. And my team covers all things content marketing. So we're responsible for creating LinkedIn Lives like this, where we have a podcast. We do a lot of video content, as most of our followers are probably aware. And we are, creating new gated assets every single day. With me, I have Pete Nicholls. He is from HubDo, one of our fantastic PandaDoc partners. So Pete, I'll let you introduce yourself and say a few words.
Great, thanks, Bethany. Yeah, so Pete here from HubDo. I'm sitting in very nice, sunny Copenhagen, as it happens at the moment, and that's where I run HubDo from. HubDo's been a strategic partner with PandaDoc since 2017, and we have hundreds of businesses that we support on PandaDoc in combination with other CRM systems, including HubSpot, which is where the hub comes from. So yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing some of that today. Top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. We use PandaDoc for everything.
Yes. Thanks again, Pete, for joining us. Appreciate it. Okay, so I think a good place to start for the two of us, Pete, is to kind of cover just the why behind document automation and marketing and especially marketing teams supporting sales, and why it's important and why it's relevant. I mean, for me, I think about just the simplicity of it. Document automation and automation in general, right, is a really simple, easy way to streamline a process, streamline a workflow. The benefits there are, of course, saving time, saving frustration and headaches. But what do you say to your clients, Pete, that, when they're kind of looking to condense a process or automate some workflows or some things, what are kind of the biggest benefits that you teach your customers?
That's a great question, because I think it usually starts with a focus on saving time and just taking this pain away. Why do we have to do all this manually? I want our systems to send things out to customers 24/7. But as you then move closer into it, you realize, well, you could easily start spamming your customers if you're not careful. People can tell the difference between what's being sent to them and what's being fired at them. So I think the personalization doesn't tend to be in the first ask. It's automation, but that then turns into personalization at scale, which to me is what automation's all about. Keep it human.
Yeah, absolutely. I think more and more of us are looking for that one-to-one relationship and interaction and human connection, especially now that we're in a very remote world post-pandemic and some things. So I think that's a really great key to hit on is just the personalization of it all. So we're going to cover the full sales and marketing funnel today. So we'll start right at the top, right? So what we're really going to try to focus on here is some of the, obviously the benefit of PandaDoc is document automation and automating a process, but specifically we're going to get into specific documents, assets, things that you can create with PandaDoc to just make your process a little bit better and more personalized. So Pete, I think it'd be great to start with you at the top here. You guys have a really great process around creating PandaDoc forms and kind of going through an intake process when you guys are looking to work with prospects and customers. So I'd love for you to kind of start with the discriminatrix. And while you're starting to talk about that and kind of the benefits there, I'm going to try to share my screen and see if we can pull it up live. And of course, I'll drop the link in the chat here, but I'd love for you to dive into the discriminatrix and how this works for HubDo.
Yeah, well, let me touch on the name discriminatrix because it's a really odd word for something. Discriminators, where this comes from is my role, and a part of this it comes from just how many PandaDoc customers we look after. Quite often we get involved in what makes a good proposal, what makes a good document, and what I see is often lacking is the focus on the customer and their needs. Quite often companies are really good at talking about themselves and what they do, but they can't articulate that in what the customer actually wants. And when you're responding to an RFP, you have a professional response going in, then a proposal team will quite often be looking for, if they're skilled at this, identifying what are our positive discriminators here. How are we discriminating this sales, this potentially multi-million-dollar opportunity in our favor? And so it led to then talking about discriminators a lot, positive discriminators that lead the customer in our direction. And I put it into a matrix and then just had a weird idea that should probably be a discriminatrix. And it turned into a PandaDoc tool. Now, I could send this out as a PDF, but that would feel almost like posting a letter. This is a top of funnel mechanism. It allows me to engage with somebody. Usually they've heard me speak or I've joined a meeting with them and I send them this tool. And they can trigger a marketing automation here where they fill out the form and get their own discriminatrix and start filling it out. So it's really just the start of a relationship build.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I think the key here is it's a great way for you to collect information, right? And kind of prepare for a call. So then again, it's kind of starting off that relationship on a really positive note, a really positive foot, because you and your customer are kind of getting to know each other. And of course, you're automating a process, right? You're not having to send them some clunky PDF or a 12 questionnaire in a long email for them to respond back with an answer. I think this is a really great way to save a ton of time and again, kind of set the tone for the sales process and helping to get that off on the right foot. So
yeah.
I know
it's interesting you mentioned Bethany that this might lead to a meeting because it's top of funnel. It might lead to a meeting or might not, because for a marketing team using this in marketing automation, it's for marketing, it's more about a lead qualification in a way. So let's say somebody who's listening to this session today thinks, oh, okay, well, actually, that's a problem that I potentially struggle with. I'm really good at saying what our company does, but I find it hard to talk purely from what the customer cares about. So if they filled out this form, then it would automatically engage them with a PandaDoc. But that's really where the journey just begins. I've got a timer on this where they've got up to 6 weeks to fill this out. And so either they'll have a look and think, nah, not for me, and move away, or they say, hey, wow, this could really help me. And I then engage with them because they can message through PandaDoc to say, Pete, can you give me a hand with this? And we may build a bit of a relationship there. Now that might turn into a meeting, but it's top of funnel. So we don't want to engage a salesperson at this point. This is really just the beginning of that relationship that might turn into a meeting, and it's all done inside a PandaDoc document. A PDF can't come anywhere near that type of experience.
Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit more, Pete, about then how those are routed? Like, do you typically, whoever, I guess the sender is then sending out the document and then communicating with the prospect or customer right in PandaDoc, or what's that process look like once the form is completed and then sent?
Yeah, that's a great question. So here we're using a PandaDoc document template as opposed to a document form. I've got a form example as well in mind that we could talk about. This starts with a PandaDoc document, but what you're looking at is a landing page, which is on my HubSpot, talks a little bit about what this is, and they fill out the form. Now, if they fill out this form, it goes straight into my HubSpot CRM. So if I didn't know that person before, I've got some basic details about, and automatically we send them discriminatrix, but we personalize it. The tokens automatically put their name, their company name, all through this document. So if they shared it with somebody else, it's actually got their company written all over it. And then that sits in their inbox. Now, I know because of PandaDoc whether they open the document. I get the alert. If they open it, I can see how many times they open it. PandaDoc has an inbuilt reminder automation. So while this document is live, it's messaging them. It also attaches me as a participant, but we can attach any member at HubDo as the person who's connected with them. And then we rely on the PandaDoc automation engine to remind them, hey, this is a 6 weeks timer on this. So it encourages them to come back in and complete it. When it's completed, the routing is that it automatically goes to both them and me, and that kicks off, would you like to have a call? Because by that stage, they've put as much effort into this. They're probably ready to have a chat if they haven't spoken to me already.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate all of the great, because I think it's important for people to understand how the automation works, right? Like how simple and how easy and how beautiful the process is, right? Because it's the kind of the connectivity that we're talking about again, is again, streamlining that process, connecting the dots and keeping things moving, right? Which I think is really important to highlight. So I know it's easy for us to kind of get into the fluff, but in the thought leadership and very top of conversations, but I think it's good for people also just want to know how this thing works. Like how does this make it so easy and simple? So thanks for explaining that. I want to touch on a couple of other ideas for top of funnel assets that you could use through PandaDoc and create. For us, we do a lot of one pagers, a lot of really kind of, our point is to not send a PDF attachment, right? So I know a lot of our reps work hard to, send our one pagers, and when people are starting to learn about PandaDoc through PandaDoc, because again, my favorite feature of the tool is allows, recipients and senders to see when the document was open, how much time they spent on a particular page or particular section of a document, which again can really kind of help, document senders understand maybe where prospects are a little hung up on a subject or might have more questions, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a great way to kind of send, a very kind of top of funnel piece of content to a prospect. So I wanted to touch on a couple other ideas too. Okay, let's move on to middle of funnel assets and kind of what that looks like. This is going to be more my kind of forte. So me as a content marketer, my early days of PandaDoc, I really focused on supporting the sales team with content, assets, collateral to just make their documents and their sales proposals more engaging and more beautiful, right? That was the whole point. So a lot of now we have now my role has kind of transitioned to creating very top of funnel thought leadership content, of course, and we have a very fabulous Rocky on the sales team. He is our sales collateral content creator now. Shout out to Rocky. And he works really closely with the sales team to basically duplicate a lot of our customer testimonials. He pulls a lot of G2 reviews. He pulls a lot of customer stories. He creates a lot of content library assets. So for those who don't know, PandaDoc does offer a content library feature within the tool, which allows you to store reusable assets that you can drop into PandaDoc templates. So Rocky is creating a lot of, again, customer testimonials. He's creating those as blocks that then you can drag and drop right into your proposal template. He's also repurposing a lot of our video content. So we obviously have a lot of, electronic signature stuff, legalities around electronic signatures. We have a lot of competitor content, kind of, telling the differences between us and some of our competitors, and kind of the key areas of where we shine. He's also doing a lot around branding, I think, which is another really key thing that I think a lot of folks forget about, right? When you're sending out documents, you want to put your best foot forward and, of course, make your documents look really beautiful, but they should also match the brand that you're putting on your website, right? So we do a lot of matching of colors, a lot of making sure the logos are in there. There's really great things that you can do around cover pages and backgrounds in PandaDoc as well to really make documents look super polished and super professional. So the other great benefits of a content library, the content library feature at PandaDoc too, is you can lock a lot of this content from editing too, which is really great, because I think when you're dealing with multiple sales reps across a very large team, people are probably sending out different kinds of proposals. There might be versions that should not exist and should have been deleted ages ago. So it's really allowing folks to make sure that they have the most up-to-date version, that they can, prevent any kind of unnecessary edits to certain pieces of content. And again, just making sure the right terms and conditions and the right branding and things are polished and in proposals.
Yeah. I think that's
Pete,
I think it's a
anything
great
to add there?
example. Yeah, I think the content library for the sales team, because what salespeople just do not want to waste time looking up that thing. They want to put their hands on it, and then it's really a challenge to marketing. How do I make sure that what sales go and use is properly branded and really looks the part? And that's where I think the content library fully stocked with the case studies is another really useful thing for salespeople. Is that they can think about the industry that this particular client is in, and then slot a case study straight from the content library that's sitting in PandaDoc and goes out as part of the document. That makes a salesperson's job just so much easier. Where's that case study about that medical facility? Oh, this one. It's there in the library.
Yeah, I think you hit another really great point, Pete, which is the customization, right? Which makes it, obviously, if you're speaking to a construction company, you're not going to want to send them something about a marketing agency, right? Like, it's a really great, easy 100%. Way to kind of put in all of your customer testimonials, and again, really tweak and make that proposal super customizable and super relatable to the prospect that you're sending it to. So yeah, I will drop a link to our website, which kind of tells everyone a little bit more about the content library and how it works. For those who are a little smaller, I would say a lot of people kind of seem overwhelmed, and it might seem daunting to kind of take the time to create really pretty content. We do offer an integration with Canva. Canva is really a great partner of ours that can really help people, who don't have a ton of design resources or don't feel like they're graphic designers, make it super simple to kind of design that content and put it into PandaDoc. So I'll leave some information in the chat for those who are interested. So yeah. Okay. Bottom of funnel, kind of the special sauce of PandaDoc, where we really shine, is I'm really excited to talk about, just again, dive into sales proposals a little bit more. So again, I think a couple of the things that we wanted to mention here were around, we've kind of already covered them, right? We've kind of talked about, again, capturing prospect information. We've talked about creating content library items into proposals. So I think some other things around, bulk sending of one-pagers we can do. There's a lot of more automations around, pulling in, once you kind of have the proposal set up, you have your assets in there. You can also turn on other integrations, because it's not just about sending the document and getting the electronic signature. It's also thinking about post, agreement as well. So there's a lot of integrations around payments and some other things that you can make it super easy for your customers. Pete, anything you want to cover here for bottom of funnel? I think you had a couple of things that you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, I think this is where the thing that most folks know PandaDoc for is put a template together and use it to put together a proposal and send that, whether it's from your CRM like HubSpot, Pipedrive, Salesforce. But the PandaDoc forms, I find there's confusion generally about what are these forms? What would I use that for? And that's a really good middle of funnel and bottom of funnel tool. I'll give you an example. There's a large food manufacturer that we support in the US who has a reseller program that's actually related to pet food for the reseller program. And so they use a PandaDoc form. So anyone who wants to join that program We don't know whether they're a good fit because actually most of them don't qualify, but they start by going to a URL, which is a PandaDoc form, and filling that out. And that starts an engagement process where the company that's receiving that form is also engaged on that form and can mark directly on the form whether they're approved or not as a reseller or declined. On the screen, you've got an example of where I'm using a form at the moment. We've written a piece of software, which is the pricer tool, the Do Pricer. It goes into people's CRMs and fixes up the pricing based on company pricing agreements and so forth. That's a great tool for the people who need it. So we're using this as a middle of funnel qualifier for people to apply to go on the beta. And then through this document, I can let them know, yes, you're on the beta, or I can ask some questions and I can approve it. So that the whole agreement is done, but it's started by them. That's what a form is for. The automation is actually started by them, not by me initiating it. This, I think, is an underused tool within PandaDoc, this forms capability, but I think it's tough for people to know situations where you might use that. This is a perfect fit here with an application form.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure our product team is loving that we're talking about forms. I feel like it's a definitely a labor of love, but it is hard to kind of get people to kind of think about the ways that they can use forms. So I love that food example, the food distributor example that you kind of went over, Pete. Like that's a really cool way for them to kind of take a PandaDoc forms and kind of use it to automate a lot of their process around, collecting information. So that was a really great example. I think the other things are, you mentioned stuff about quoting and kind of pricing and all sorts of things. We do have a lot of new features around advanced quotes and kind of making it a little bit easier to make sure that your prospects can pick and choose the right kind of pricing that's right for them. That's a really great fit. It makes it super easy for folks to pick quantities or, select discounts and all sorts of things. So there's a lot of things in addition to forms that I think make the customer experience within a document super special and super interesting that people can use with PandaDoc.
That automation, actually, given we're talking automation again, is some very cool features that PandaDoc has added in recent months around that pricing piece. And what we see really popular as a use case is that people start in their CRM, say with Pipedrive or HubSpot, and put the line items which then go into the PandaDoc, but they're allowing the customer to choose what quantity they want to actually order. And so with the PandaDoc automation, when that document is closed, the quantities that the customer chose comes back across into the CRM to update the deal. So what did the customer actually buy? Now, if that was done manually, that's quite labor intensive and quite often wrong and unreliable. So you kind of got to automate that if you want to be able to trust the numbers. That's another good bottom of the funnel example.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Pete. I had it in my notes here to cover, automations and CRM connections, right? I think that's probably the biggest benefit too, is we work with a lot of CRM partners, Salesforce, HubSpot, as you know, too. And it makes it super easy for reps to have that two-way sync, if you will, right? It's PandaDoc talking to the CRM and the CRM talking back to PandaDoc. I think it's also great for that next handoff process as well, right? For us, we have a really incredible onboarding team. So when we have systems talking together, it again allows the handoff process from one team to another super seamless, which again makes the customers really happy too, right? So we know what they exactly purchased, how onboarding needs to happen, what are kind of the next steps in converting kind of existing documents that they have into beautiful PandaDoc templates. So, we are talking about kind of the sales and marketing teams too, but we've really made it easy too for our friends in finance and our friends in customer success. And yes, even if you're a small team and doing it all, you might be the same person doing 5 different roles, right? So again, it's still making your job super easy because your systems are talking to each other and you can find all the information in a single source of truth, which I think is really important.
Yeah.
So,
I think bringing the sales and marketing teams sometimes can be a little oil and water as far as how well they work together. If something has gone well, everyone claims it. If it's not going so well, it's the other team's fault. But the marketing and sales engagement, what's really nice with the automation, I think, is where we saw early in last year, where the smart content features came in. So the marketing team can populate the case study and reference type material into the library ready. The sales team are using PandaDoc, but now you can automate that if the customer is a manufacturer, for example, that it automatically pulls in the manufacturing case study. If it's medical, it automatically pulls in the medical one. So you're not making the salesperson go and search for it. You're now, marketing is just feeding that straight through. I think there's a lot of automation there that both the sales and the marketing teams need to understand enough of, that becomes the glue between the two.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Our product team has made incredible strides to make automations and make everybody's lives as simple as possible. Of course, we always have a product release, usually about once a quarter these days. So stay tuned to our blog and the product updates page for new things. I know we're constantly working to improve even the features that we released recently around advanced quotes, and we just made an update to that to make it a little bit better too. So there's lots of things coming up for that. Pete, we have 5 minutes left. I will share a couple of other things and a couple of other resources in the chat here. Pete and I have some really great examples of, if those folks who are looking for any kind of PandaDoc templates. Again, we have, I think, over 450 plus templates in our template library on our website. Those are great places to start if you're looking for new ways to make your proposals more beautiful and more engaging and more eye-catching. There's a lot of great examples there. We also have a really great community gallery of a lot of folks, like including, Pete at HubDo, who have submitted their kind of proposal examples and their template examples. So we have a great resource library there of partners and customers of ours who have submitted their beautiful proposals that people can download and use in their own processes. Pete, any lasting thoughts you want to leave our audience with today? Any key takeaways?
I think you mentioned that maybe for smaller organizations, it might seem a little bit overwhelming of how do I get my arms around this. What I like with PandaDoc is it's really easy to get started. You don't have to know about the content library and all these other pieces on day one, but you can get up and running. And then you mentioned the template library. So a nice little cheat for people who don't already have a full style branded guide set up is to just go through the templates and spot something that you really like the look of. Bring that template in. It might be a template for a quote or an invoice or something, and you're not planning to use that template as it is, but the cheat is add the style to your own styling in PandaDoc, so that everything that you create actually looks like the document that you really like the look of. That's a really easy way for a small outfit to have professionally looking branding on everything that they do. Just steal a design guide from one of the templates.
Yeah. And like I mentioned, I dropped all of our the proposal template examples, and of course those will go to the community gallery and they will go to our template library. Pete, I think that's a really great tip. We do offer a 14-day trial, right? So you can go in, sign up, play around with the template builder. And again, I think it's a really good tip is to kind of have something like, hey, it might not be your exact colors or your exact design, but you can mimic it. And it's really easy to do that. We also have a lot of great onboarding and training resources as well. Again, our onboarding team are complete rock stars. They offer a lot of different classes and different kind of tips and tricks and video tutorials once you sign up for a trial, that if you're having trouble with the document editor and builder, there's always a resource there to help as well. And of course, our support team is there 24/7, 365 if anybody needs anything. So
that
Pete, where can
support? It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete, where can folks find you if they want to learn more about HubDo?
Well, just Pete at HubDo. I'm pretty easy to find. So on LinkedIn, Pete Nicholls, or come to hubdo.com. We have a chat button there. Or you shared the discriminatrix earlier. I'm happy if people just want to take a look at that. Don't worry, you're not going to be hassled by me. It's a top of funnel thing. So you're going to be hassled by PandaDoc, because the document is going to say, hey, don't forget me. You need to fill me out. But it'll give you an idea of maybe the sort of thing that you could do top of funnel. I'd encourage people to give that a try.
Yeah, appreciate that. And again, if anybody wants to get in touch with me or has any other questions about PandaDoc, feel free to, again, I'm Bethany Fagan, Bethany Fagan on LinkedIn. Feel free to shoot me a direct message. My email is also super simple. I love that Pete and I have an OG PandaDoc email address, bethany@pandadoc.com. It's super easy. And if anybody needs anything or has any other questions, then again, feel free to reach out to Pete and I. Pete, again, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I really appreciate your information, wisdom, knowledge, and again, thank you for your time, and thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thank you very much, Bethany. Thanks for the invite. And I can see we've got a few comments on LinkedIn as well. So I'll jump online and just see if I can help answer some of those as well. And
that's a great
thank
call.
you for the invite.
Yeah, apologies team, like it's hard for us to answer right in our restream chat. So yeah, I'll be sure to jump on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook as well to answer any kind of questions that we might have missed that we didn't get a chance to cover live. I also appreciate some customers who jumped in and answered some questions for us today too. So thank you to everyone who in the audience who kind of lended a helping hand today. So we appreciate that. So yeah.
100%.
Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Bethany.